Good afternoon. Today I'm unveiling my proposals for ethics, government, and campaign reform. Last week's Quinnipiac poll showed that 93% of New Jerseyans believe that political corruption is a serious problem. But the corruption of New Jersey's political system goes far beyond the bribery cases splashed across our TV screens last month. It's ingrained in and fed by the two-party system. Former Governor Brendan Byrne often has said, if you live in New Jersey and you're not getting something for nothing, you're not getting your fair share. It's meant to be a joke, but it's not funny. It's this attitude that's at the heart of many of New Jersey's problems. Fixing New Jersey's corrupt system isn't just a matter of cracking down on illegal conduct, but also on the corruption that takes place under the cover of law. This corruption under the cover of law exists in the patronage handed out by the two parties and by the decisions they make that put party interests ahead of the needs of the people they so fervently claim to represent. Corruption under the cover of law exists in the dual office holders who shortchange both public entities that employ them. It also exists in the conflicts of interest that are not reported. And it exists in the high salary jobs given to party hacks at the end of their career to jack up their pensions while the taxpayers who pay their salaries struggle to hold on to their homes. Both of my opponents have spent a lot of time talking about ethics and corruption, but their actions make them hypocrites. They are good examples of how money corrupts politics and how too often our government and top government positions are for sale. It's a system that enabled a wealthy bond trader from Goldman Sachs to buy a new career, first in the United States Senate, then as governor, first by pumping hundreds of thousands of dollars into county Democratic organizations, and later by pouring tens of millions of dollars into his campaigns. It's also a system that allowed a one-term freeholder from Morris County who had sued his fellow Republican freeholders, who had been repudiated by his own party, and who had run last in the GOP primary when he sought re-election, to buy himself a new career as U.S. Attorney by raising a lot of money for George W. Bush's presidential campaign. Today, both are loudly claiming to be proponents of ethics reform, complying with the legal campaign contribution limits here in New Jersey, while taking full advantage of the unregulated political action committees set up in Washington by the Democratic Governors Association and the Republican Governors Association. Both campaigns are standing by silently while these national organizations are using funds from large donations by special interest groups to rip apart the opposing candidates with multi-million-dollar advertising buys. Similarly, while individual state legislators are bound by contribution limits, the New Jersey State Senate and Assembly Democratic and Republican leadership PACs accept large contributions from special interest groups seeking to influence whether legislation they favor or oppose gets posted for a vote. We need to punish the corrupt, make public officials live like the rest of us, limit the pernicious influence of money over policy, and begin to restore democracy to our political system. To fix this broken system, a number of new measures need to be put in place. It's time to put an end to dual office holding because elected officials cannot simultaneously represent two sets of constituents with no grandfathering provisions. It is a built-in conflict of interest. A legislator who is a mayor is not representing the interests of all the citizens of his district when he seeks special treatment for his city. But he's also not doing his job as mayor if he puts the overall interest of the district and the state first. Legislators who receive two public salaries should have their salaries reduced on a per diem basis by their other public sector employer for the days that they put in at the State House. It's also time to put an end to pensions and free health care for part-time elected officials. And we must put an end to pensions and free health care benefits for part-time legislative aides and other political appointees who too often get rewarded by their bosses in the last 3 years of employment with six-figure salary and a pension that's twice as high as many full-time public employees with 30 years experience. Pensions vest after 10 years. Accordingly, pension benefits should be based on an average of 10 years of salaries, not on the highest paid 3 years. We should place a 3-year ban on elected officials engaging in lobbying or in obtaining government contracts after leaving office. We should ban public consulting contracts for state legislators within their districts. We need to limit the impact of the legislative leadership political action committees and the state and county party committees by establishing the same campaign contribution limits for those organizations as for individual candidates. This would help restore the independence of the legislature by reducing the ability of legislative leaders to blackmail individual lawmakers by threatening to withhold large campaign war chests. We should simultaneously put an end to the practice of wheeling contributions from PAC to PAC. We support efforts by the Citizens Campaign and its leader, Harry Pazicki, to extend from municipalities to state and county government the posting of commission and board openings. And we should require municipal party organizations to join county parties by adopting bylaws that further the democratic rights of citizens to participate in the political process. We should join states like Arizona and Iowa in adding competitiveness as a criterion to consider in New Jersey's legislative and congressional redistricting commissions in the remapping process that will follow the 2010 census. It's a travesty of democracy that so much gerrymandering is done to limit competition in legislative and congressional districts. We should make the impact of campaign contributions as transparent as possible by requiring all contributions, not just to candidates, but also to party organizations and other PACs, to be posted online at the State Election Law Enforcement Commission within 24 hours. We should expand pay-to-play rules to all levels of government, including school boards, and we should standardize those rules. Finally, we need to do something about the practice of buying elections. The United States Supreme Court ruled in Buckley versus Valeo that limits on campaign spending by wealthy individuals would violate free speech. But it may very well be constitutional to impose a luxury tax on campaign expenditures above a certain level, similar to the way Major League Baseball imposes a luxury tax that requires wealthy ball clubs with payrolls above a certain level to contribute to less well-funded teams. Why should our election for governor be more one-sided than a baseball pennant race? I would suggest a luxury tax of, say, 33% to kick in at 2 times the public financing limit, with the receipts going to other candidates in the race proportionate to the amount of money they have raised. In summary, it's time to restore New Jersey's tarnished image by providing harsher penalties for convicted public officials and others who break the law trying to influence them, and by ending all the opportunities for people to game the system to get something for nothing. Thank you all very much, and I welcome any questions.